Welcome, listeners, to our first episode of Stress Relief, where we get to the root of it and branch out. I'm your host, Abby, and I'm here talking with UMA student Ellen Albert about one of her favorite ways to go about turning over a new leaf. So, Ellen, what is your secret?
Thanks for having me, Abby, and it's not so much a secret at all. I took a class called Prescription Nature during my first semester on campus, and I took away a lot of cool ideas that I still utilize today. One of the things we discussed was Shinrin-Yoku, which is Japanese for forest bathing.
Wow. What does that mean for stress when I'm feeling stumped? I don't actually have to take a bath in the forest, do I?
Nope, common misinterpretation. Essentially, it's a type of meditation that you can do in nature by immersing yourself and utilizing all your senses without distraction. There's been a lot of research about how spending intentional time outdoors can be beneficial for people. There are benefits psychologically and physically. Oftentimes, these are intertwined.
How intriguing. Tell me more.
Well, let's start with the psychological aspect. A lot of the time, researchers will have participants spend time outside in different environments and observe mental changes. Many of the findings are consistent with each other, especially ones regarding reductions in perceived stress and anxiety. I read one study that had a city group as well as a forest group, and they both walked for a certain amount of time. The forest group showed significantly lower levels of anxiety and stress following the walk. The researchers also looked at brainwave activity, and the people that walked in the forest showed higher frequencies of alpha waves, the kind associated with relaxation and mental coordination.
So my mind will be less stressed.
Sure, that's one way of putting it. It's a healthy distraction for your brain. There's lots of theories that are being explored to explain why it's so restoring in this way.
Okay, I think I'm starting to understand. Maybe I can make a playlist for my next jaunt.
Don't get me wrong, I like to do that sometimes too. But in order to reap the full benefits of Shinrin-Yoku, it's important to not have distractions like music and even screens. Part of the reason it's meditative is because you engage as many senses as possible. This is a key idea in attention restoration theory. The elements of the forest serve as soft fascination for the brain. It's kind of like getting your brain thinking, but you don't have to constantly process new ideas and information.
I see. So next time I'm stressed and want to try Shinrin-Yoku, I'll leave my earbuds at home. Maybe we could talk more about that attention restoration theory next time. But I seem to recall that you were talking about the physical benefits of forest bathing.
Yes, this part is fascinating, and just like with psychology, we're discovering new things every day. The same researchers who looked at brainwaves also measured blood pressure in their walkers, and, as you might guess, the blood pressures were lower in the forest group than the city one. There's lots of other cool ideas still being explored, like the effects of negative ions and phytoncides that we get exposure to when we're outdoors.
Okay, whoa. You had me until you went all mad scientist on me there.
I was just getting to that. Well, negative ions are charged particles, and it's been revealed that the air around moving water, like waterfalls and brooks, has a ton of them. Some research has pointed out that exposure to negative ions can assist in reducing depressive symptoms in people. As for phytoncides, they're special chemicals secreted by plants to protect them from things like bacteria and fungi. Similarly, scientists think that being subjected to phytoncides can not only help with depression, but it can also lower levels of cortisol, the stress hormone.
I can't believe it. That's incredible.
Isn't it? And this is just the tip of the iceberg. Researchers also speculate that spending time outside could help with disease prevention as well.
Oh, how does it do that? Shinrin-Yoku is really starting to grow on me.
You and me both. There are a couple of interesting theories here, too, namely the microbiome rewilding hypothesis and the psychoevolutionary restoration hypothesis. The latter one relates specifically to those phytoncides I just mentioned, actually. The microbiome rewilding hypothesis is interesting, too. Did you know that we have microbiomes in our stomach right now?
Yes, although it gives me the heebie-jeebies a little bit if I think too hard.
Me too. But basically, all of those little bacteria and microorganisms living in our digestive system are really important. They break down tons of substances that we can't break down our own, like fiber.
So cool. But what does that have to do with forest bathing?
I'm glad you asked, Abby. Our guts aren't the only place where all these microbiota live. The microbiome rewilding hypothesis pertains to the microorganisms that can be found in the soil. The working hypothesis is that the soil bacteria could be beneficial to our own gut microbiomes and enhance digestion as well as brain function.
How tremendous! I've never even thought about a connection like that before.
Isn't it amazing? It's a small connection, but an important and certainly pivotal one at that. Think about all the other health benefits that could exist because of just time spent outside that we don't even know about yet.
It truly is. I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I have one more question for you before our time is up.
Shoot, let's spruce this up.
You're catching on to my tree puns. I digress. My question for you is, what are some ways that universities can make Shinrin-Yoku more accessible for students like you and your classmates?
What a great question. I think that any time spent outside is really important. Not all of it has to be forest bathing, but it definitely doesn't hurt to attune to one's surroundings from time to time. There's been some interesting experimentation on various campuses to encourage more nature exposure among students. Some colleges have provided actual coursework that delves into this very science. That is one great option for accessibility on campuses everywhere, and has proven successful multiple times. If it's not an option through school, though, students can still take advantage by seeking out green space for walking or idle time. Different camping and outdoor excursions have also been noted as good opportunities as well.
Well, Ellen, thank you so much for speaking with us today. Maybe I ought to head out for a little forest bathing myself soon.
Thank you, Abby. It's been a pleasure.